do that. In fact, he was very humble. He was very kind. He was very respectful, even when they were disrespectful to him. And he was one thing of all, patient, patient, patient. So this is something I kept insisting on. I don't want to give you the whole stories because you can go to our website, IslamYesterday.com, and look for yourself. You can go to the audio part. You'll see Australia Visit. Just click on there and you'll hear the programs that I did. They're online and it's very easy to find. Just remember IslamYesterday.com. You can do that. Now, another thing is that when I got there, they had, and me too, had worked with one of the people down there with the Christian side who was really going to do a nice thing. We're going to go out and show how we can put our hands together and work for some good in the society, talk about helping the poor, helping the abused, and helping people to know more about the righteous, good way to live, etc., without getting into salvation and without getting into our particular Aqidah, because we know that's going to be the problem. I'm not going to accept Jesus on a cross, and you're not either. But at the same time, we know that that man's not going to walk up there and say he accepts the Quran. So let's just talk about what we do accept together, where we can talk together, especially leaders of the faith groups. And we said, well, this would be great, and we'll do that. The boys picked up on that, and they decided, okay, and they formed a rugby team. This is a sport that they play over there. And the Christians had theirs, and they did a competition that was great. They had a big barbecue, and of course the Muslims did the barbecue. Make sure everything's the biha, halal. And they fed those guys, and of course the Christians liked it because it was free, and everybody was happy, and they had a good time. So we were convinced that this was going to be our best event of all. But they said, well, while you're here, will you talk to some of these other leaders, other Christian leaders that have been attacking Islam? The first one they put me up with was Dr. David Milliken. Dr. David Milliken, I went online to check him out to find out about this guy. And he's really, really outspoken person. 18 years he's been running the ABC radio over there, a Christian radio, and knew what he was doing, knew what he was talking about. I read his articles. There's no two ways about it. This guy is not somebody you want to debate with, simply because he can just keep throwing stuff out there faster than you can come up with it. So when they put me up against him, we tried to make sure everybody understood I'm not there to debate people. I'm there just, trying to show that we're good guys, you're good guys, we all hate the devil, everybody believes in God, let's work with that. Well, he got the microphone first. And I had to shake my head and put my finger in my ear, because I said, something's wrong, I'm not hearing the right thing. I heard him say that he wants to see the Sharia of Islam established as it used to be in Spain. And I went, huh? Wait a minute, did he pick up my notes and he went up there? What happened here? Where did this come from? And he started talking about Islam in the best way. And then he started picking on the Muslims, saying, why don't you guys get up and do the real Islam? And I'm going, that's my job. I'm supposed to do that in the Jummah. Look at this guy. And he went on and on and on. And when he got done, I said, there's not much for me to do here except go, that's right. But he also said some good things about Christians. He said, Christians also have had some times, especially the early Christians, when they stood up for what was right and righteous and so on and so on. And by the way, we believe that too. So when he was all done, I was amazed. I said, wow, look at that. And then that was an afternoon program, and we had a night program with that same gentleman a couple nights later. And I said, now, maybe he's going to trick me, maybe, because I can't believe that. He got up there, and our subject was about the devil, the devil's deception. And he again went first, and he again really ripped it up. Boy, I said, man, this is great. When he got done, though, it was some emergency in his family, he had to leave. So I got up there and I said, all I want to do is take the painting that this man has just put up here and just add a few touches. I don't want to undo anything he did. It's very beautiful. I just like to put in little details. And he smiled. He said, go right ahead. And I mentioned a few more little things here and there. And then, subhanallah, some of the people stood up and made shahada. The people that had come to this thing stood up and they said, we'd like to become Muslim. Women coming up on the stage crying, asking to get into Islam. I said, well, by gosh, this is, No worries, mate. I like it. This is working out really good for me. I'm enjoying this, you know. So then I meet with the Reverend Fred Niles. This is somebody who had attacked Islam big time, and he has a parliamentary seat in there, and he's the head of the Christian party there. And he did not want to meet because he had been talked to about this other person who I'm not going to mention, about that they're going to do this debate, and he was like really ready for some kind of get down and dirty deal. I insisted though that we need to meet in his office and present what we have. As soon as we met, I found him to be a very spectacular gentleman. He's very, very, very educated and a very high class person, very high class. And he has a lot of the right kind of mannerism that a gentleman should have, you know what I mean? And he really said, please come in, sit down. And he stayed for hours after the closing time and told everybody, because he has control of this parliament, he's told them everything is cool, if you go, the guards can do here, there, and so on, but leave us alone. And then when it came time for salat, it was time for us to pray, he said, let me take you over here, and this is the bathroom, you can use this, and do you need anything else, and is this clean enough for you to pray on? I said, the carpet's never been walked on, of course it's clean enough. It was really a high class deal, right? When I got through leading the salah, I turned around and I saw him in the back of the room doing something, and I went up back to him, talking to him. He told me, while you guys were praying, I wanted to pray with you, so I was praying along. I don't know what you were saying, because it was in Arabic. He said, but I was just praying to God to guide us. I said, well, pretty much that's what we said to Ihdina Siratal Mustaqim. And he was crying, telling us that this is the Islam that he had never dreamed about, he didn't know about. And he said, you guys have shown me something I never knew. This is good, this is wonderful. And I've changed my mind about everything. Yes. And he asked me, please stay in touch with me. And he gave me his card, everything. And so did the Reverend Dr. Milliken. I said, boy, this is too easy. This is too easy. And then the next night, I said, the next night, this is the big deal. Because the next big thing we had was the guy who had already been in touch with us. He's going to be a good guy. He's going to do so and so. There's always a catch in there. Well, that was a catch. Turns out some of the local Coptic Christians, Arab Christians, had gotten a hold of this guy and convinced him that there's no way you can ever do anything good with Muslims. Muslims are bad, and they have to be stopped, and you have to preach the message of Jesus on the cross, or you're going to go to hell. And the preacher went for that. So when he came, and they introduced it, he had his Bible and some other books in his hands, including the Quran. And I said, what's he doing this? That's okay, because guess what I had? I also had a Bible and the Quran with me. So I let him see it. Not that I want to do a debate with him, but let him understand, don't do that. Don't go there, okay? And I could see something's wrong, because he's not acting the way he talked on the phone for the months that we've been in touch. He's acting different. So I took the announcer aside and I said, come here. And I wrote in an extra line in the speech, the opening speech, this is not a debate, and there's not going to be any preaching. And then simply that we're here today to show how the two great faiths can work together for things that are good on this planet. The brother read it and then introduced him. He went first. And he got up there, and what do you think happened? He immediately started preaching that the Muslims are going to go to hell, that you have to believe in Jesus on the cross, and then he misquoted the Bible in the New Testament, and then he misquoted the Old Testament. It happens that I know both of them, and I know he's misquoting it. He's saying the wrong verses, and he's saying the wrong thing about the verses. And the brother's sitting by me, the one who had read the Quran in the opening program, he said, here's a paper and pencil, don't you want to make notes? I said, nope, I know exactly what's happening here. He said, well, you know, because you're going to respond, you need to make notes. I said, don't worry about it.